Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of KFFB's Open Mic program. We do have Senator John Boozman with us right now. And Senator, it seems like it's been a little bit different on news. Every day there's something else happening, and we've got COVID, we've had protests. But one thing that we need to mention, and I like doing that each time, that with the COVID-19, we do have a mandate in Arkansas about wearing masks. But one thing that I keep reminding people, 80%, the things that I see, 80% of the transmission is through hands. We need to wash our hands. That's a big portion of it as well. We don't want to think mass cures it all. We just got to be a little more mindful to that.
No, you're exactly right. And you know, in regards to the news cycles, we hear all this stuff, the protests, the difficulty fighting the disease, the really significant negative effects of the economy right now. A lot of people out of work, but we always have to remember we're the greatest, freest country the world has ever known, and because of the American spirit, we'll get through all of these things, and I think, hopefully come out stronger than ever. But I agree with you totally. The science is very clear that wearing the mask does make a difference. As you said, it's kind of like, our moms taught us, wash your hands and keep them out of your mouth. And so those are really the important things. And I certainly don't want to get the disease myself. I don't know what my symptoms would be. This is a strange disease because 20 to 40% of the people that actually get it don't have any symptoms. We've had many, many people get very gravely ill and then die from it, particularly though our seniors. So the one thing I don't want to do is give it to anybody else. So sometimes it's a little bit of an inconvenience, but it is something that we simply have to practice. That's the way to get back to normal, the quickest possible way to get back to normal, which is what we all want to do.
And then there's two big acts. One we need to talk about, the National Defense Authorization Act. Tell us what we can see with this act.
Well, this is the big defense bill that has to do with how our monies are spent on defense. It's so important. What we want to do is give our military, the men and women that serve in that capacity for us, give them the ability to not only protect us, to keep themselves safe. Trying to do that and make it such that we are living a very uncertain world right now. We spend a lot of money in government for lots of different things, but I think everyone agrees that I can't personally protect our country in the sense of having, that big military force. The state of Arkansas can't do that. The federal government is the only one that can do that. So very proud of our military. They do such a great job. And so it's something that is being passed every year for the last 60 years. In the next several days, that will be signed into law for the president. So made a lot of progress in that area, but it is something that's very, very important for Americans.
During our conversations, we talk about Arkansas. I mean, we were blessed to be able to live here. I have traveled many areas throughout America and even out of country, and I love coming home to Arkansas. And one thing that's really neat I always look at is I had an uncle that was an immigrant from Germany, and when he came to Arkansas, he just thought this was heaven. He says, "You live in heaven," because he was living out close to Chicago, outside the city limits there, but sidewalks separate homes in Chicago. And one thing that I always thought was really neat was the Great American Outdoors Act, but talking about our federal lands and how we have been such good stewards of those that don't have what we have every day. And explain about the Great American Outdoors Act for public lands.
We are so blessed with such a diverse, as you say, scenery, a diverse country. And then also we have a lot of structures that we're just proud of. The Pea Ridge Battlefield in Pea Ridge, Arkansas, the bass houses in Hot Springs, Judge Parker's Court. All of those things tell our history besides the scenic, aspect that we have. So it's so important that we maintain those. And many years ago, there was an excise tax placed on oil and gas. Lots of drilling on federal lands. So they said, well, it's okay to drill here, but we're going to take a little bit. And some of that we're going to put into a trust fund that has to do with maintaining our parks and acquiring new parks. The problem is that trust fund has been raided through the years. In other words, they've used the dollars that were supposed to go in for maintenance of our park system that was spent on other purposes. So what Congress has said is, look, that's not right. we have tremendous backlogs on maintenance. You can imagine a lot of these structures that we're trying to protect, tell the history of, like a Judge Parker's courtroom, like the bathhouses in Hot Springs. You can imagine these are old structures. They require maintenance. And simply we haven't had the dollars that we need. So this will allow us to do that. And then also campgrounds, upgrading those for people that are visiting with the modern equipment that we have now. So I think it's really a good thing. I think it's something we can be proud of. And again, this is through a trust fund that shouldn't have been rated in the past, has been. So we're working hard to get our parks back in shape. As you said, we're a nation that's so blessed in that way. The other thing, Bob, it's so common. I'm an Arkansas guy, many generation Arkansas guy, and so very proud of that. But I'm also, so pleased that we have so many people. So many of your listeners right now are people that came and visited other people in the state, and they just said, "This is it. We're staying." Either through retirement or just changing jobs or whatever, decided to make Arkansas their home. I think that speaks, so much for our state, so much for the people that inhabit our state.
That's true. I know throughout our listening area, the real estate has the lowest inventory ever right now. There's so many homes and property being bought because people are moving here. Because you know what? I think the secret's out. That's for sure. I love living in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Okay. One other thing, just a quick, I know you got to go. They told us we've got a really short window and you got to go vote. And that is, let's revisit statues that are representing Arkansas. There's 2 statues for each state. And someone asked me to repeat that again because we talked about that a few months ago. And they are picked by the state what's there.
They are, and there's two things you have to be a statue in Washington. Each state gets 2, and so you have to be dead and you have to be famous.
I like where you always say you have to be famous and dead. You have to be both of those, and that's one of those
exactly.
things. That's kind of like your statement there. Go ahead.
Well, anyway, so times change, and so we've had 2 statues that have been here for a long, long time, and so our state legislature actually said, well, we've got some modern era folks that perhaps we should recognize. This other group that was there a long time, in a different part of our history. Let's honor some new folks. And so they chose Johnny Cash and Daisy Bates. Again, that was the state legislature doing that, and both of them meet the qualifications. They're both certainly famous and have passed away. So that's the way to handle the statue situation, in Congress. It's a state thing, and the states, I think, take that very seriously.
Yeah, I think that's really neat. I mean, you'd always give a little window into Washington, D.C. A lot of people didn't know that, and I've had that some comments we talk about. Of course, the food that we eat. Somebody's always asking, do you and Senator Boozman really eat that much? I said, well, that is true. Now, that's something I can't deny. So it is. It is true.
I think I'm told, and I'll have to look it up for sure, but I'm told that the only exception to the statue is Will Rogers. Will Rogers was from Claremore, Oklahoma, just across. He actually married a lady that was from Rogers, Arkansas. And there was no connection in the name, but so Will Rogers marries a lady. He was married in Rogers, Arkansas, so he had a very close affinity to our state. But he was so popular during his time. Everybody loved him, the entire country. And he was just a guy that was a regular guy that got into vaudeville and things, but he had a tremendous wit and a tremendous ability to have insight into just the common things and sometimes the hypocrisy, that goes on. And he would draw attention to that really in a biting way, but not a mean way. Because of that, like I say, he was very, very popular just throughout the country. So I think he's probably the only exception.
Well, Senator Boozman, they're telling me they're giving me the coat hanger sign. They're going to pull me off the stage here because they said we have got to go.
Yeah, I've got to go vote.
I appreciate you taking time and talking with us.
Well, it's good to be with you, and I hope your listeners have a great rest of the summer. And again, let's all work together and fight the virus so that we can get back to normal. That's really the key. Appreciate you.